Well, you know, we talk about those who were killed, Sabira and Frankie, but there were survivors. There were 11 survivors, and those stories are dramatic, of course, as well. And this memorial, in a large part, is about them also.
Yeah, because they can come here and they can sit and reflect and, you know, think about their loved ones. And I spoke with Tim Ward, and his story is pretty remarkable, and it is so heartbreaking because he lost his wife of 37 years when that landslide happened. And I want to say that he was in the bathroom, she was in the kitchen. He said that it sounded as if there were Navy jets flying over him. At the time, he didn't know what was going on, and then he thought it was an earthquake. It was just remarkable. And then that's when the mountain behind us that you see right here, that it just came down and swallowed up this entire neighborhood. So I want to share his interview, a portion of his interview with you all. Take a listen.
I remember watching the water pressure drop off on my well pump, and I thought that was kind of strange. And then I heard what I thought was the Navy jets flying up the valley, but it wasn't the Navy jets. It ended up the fact the mountain was giving way. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, if it's not the Navy jets, it's got to be an earthquake. So I was going to run into the hallway, get in a door jam, be protected. And I looked down in the hall, and I looked out into the family room toward the kitchen where the wife was. And I saw her coming towards me, but I saw a look in her face that I knew something was going on, because she had the look of terror in her eyes. And as I reached for her and she reached for me, the slide hit, and she disappeared. And I remember, I don't know how long later it was, but I remember waking up in a spot that I wasn't sure what it was. I thought I was in my garage. Found out later I was not in the garage. I was actually about 500 yards down the hill, down in the ground in a dry hole, thank the Lord, so I could breathe. And I started calling out. Eventually I got someone to answer me, and the person was a neighbor of mine that lived over on Seapost Road, Chris Langdon. And he eventually got over to me, and I can't tell you how long it took, but it was a while. And I was doing what in the military they would call a full body assessment, if you crashed your helicopter or whatever. And that was my job in the military. I was a pilot. And if you got into a crash, the first thing you wanted to do is find out what's broke, what's not broke. And as I was checking myself out, I got down to my arms and my fingers, and then I got to my chest, and things were looking good. I'm thinking, this isn't too bad. I'm not feeling anything. And then I got down to my waist, and I was facing this way, and my legs were facing that way. And I'm thinking, that's not right. I mean, I'm a guy from the South, but I can figure that part out. And I had broken pretty much every bone in my pelvis. And my right hip was broken off from my pelvis area. I remember them digging me out, and it took quite a while. I don't know how many hours it was, but I remember I did a lot of screaming. I remember they were being as compassionate as they could, but they had to get people out. And I had no idea at the time, but I found out later, months later, that they had found my wife just about 25 yards from where they had found me. But she was not in an air pocket, she was underwater.